Hi, I'm Portee, fashion and lifestyle journalist and editor of Zayla magazine. I've always been interested in biographies and in the stories of people's lives, basically listening to what stirs their souls. Welcome to the Soulful side of life, where I let you in on some of my conversations with inspiring people from around the world in fashion, faith, entertainment, music, and entrepreneurship. These are conversations that stir the soul about people's journeys, about the ups and downs of life, and how they have overcome certain situations. I hope that these episodes will inspire your life in some way, so enjoy over a cup of something hot or on your drive to work. This is the Soulful side of life and can be found on Spotify podcasts or Apple Podcasts. Tessy Antony de Nassau is a wife, mother, social entrepreneur, businesswoman, philanthropist, military veteran, public speaker, activist, and co-founder of a fashion brand. Wearing many hats, Tessy actively promotes a number of issues, including global health and women's rights. She's passionate about pushing her different agendas to benefit the Sustainable Development Goals and has committed her time and energy to furthering her work of organizations in which she believes in. If you follow Tessy's life, you see that everything she does is doing, she was prepped to do. Her work in the Luxembourg military and being a former member of the Grand Ducal family of Luxembourg, where she was styled as princess, prepared her for her activism work, her private sector work, and her NGO work. Quite egalitarian in how she carries herself, Tessy makes the effort to be amongst the people, helping when and where she can. I've known Tessy for many years now, and I reached out to her one day and she was so kind and so generous, and she came and spoke on an International Women's Day panel at my uni in London. And I've known her since then, and she's always positive. But what I admire about her the most is that she puts herself amongst the people. In this episode, she opens up about her journey of growing up in Luxembourg. She talks about her military service and her sweet moment of being a princess, though I'd argue she still is a princess in spirit and soul. And she also talks about what she's been up to lately. So enjoy this podcast episode with Tessy Antony de Nassau. So Tessy, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Hi, Ali. It's so wonderful to talk to you again. It has been a really long time, my darling.
Yes, it has. And it's nice to speak to you as well. You're a very inspiring woman who's always on the move and keeping busy with humanitarian projects and academic projects. And yeah, so I wanted to chat with you about what you've been up to and the difference you're making in the world. So my first question is, what was little girl Tessy like?
Little girl Tessy was someone that loved to play outside. I was really an outside person. I had all of my pet animals, meaning we had the normal pets at home, like cat and dog. And then I would have snails and snakes and hamsters and mice and doves and just a bit of everything. Wow. And my mom was really suffering for years because I was just collecting them and treating them like my family. It was so cute. I always thought I wanted to be a veterinarian, so I had also a cow on the farm of my grandmother and chickens and everything. So yeah, I was a kid that was really happy outside. I grew up between the city and the countryside. I could drive a tractor when I was 7. Wow. And I loved skateboarding, was going full speed down the street, and our street is really steep. So that was always a crazy one. Now thinking about it with kids, I'm like, why did you do that? I understand my mom, but it was just at the time something we were doing, right? I realize how many times I could have died as a child now that I'm a mom. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was a very active, fun, engaged young girl.
Would you say you were a tomboy, very much into outdoorsy things and not dresses or makeup or?
I think I was both, which is
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah.
So I love being outside and building huts in the woods and riding my skateboard and so on. But at the same time, I also was teaching my teddy bears in a tent that I built myself on our terrace about school. And for carnival, I would dress up as a princess. Princess Jasmine actually was the last one that I saw a picture of. And so yeah, I always believe that we can be all of it if we want to, and I think that hasn't changed.
Yeah. What part of Luxembourg did you grow up in?
So both actually, from the south all the way up to the north. My parents were mostly in the south. My
Hmm.
father was a politician. He was a business owner and investor, and they were busy. My parents, and I was number 4 or 5 kids, and so we were all holidays, most of the holidays in the north with my grandmother, and there was a big farm next to her. So, yeah. I got all of the experiences from city girl to
Country
countryside
girl.
and everything that comes with it.
How long does it take to drive from the south to the north in Luxembourg?
Well, at the time, it would be like an hour and 15 minutes. And to where I was going, of course, if you go north, it's even longer though, but not
Oh,
very long. I think you can do Luxembourg within like 2 or 3 hours if you do it like
straight.
straight up, exact horizontally. Yeah, also probably like 2 or 3 hours. It's very small.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. But now it's like an hour or even 45 minutes because they built these new fast roadworks. So it's fantastic to just be a bit fast in the north because my sister moved in the north, my twin brother lives in the north, my grandmother's in the north, 3 people that are very important to me. And then my parents are in the south.
Gotcha. Um, I think sometimes like the smaller European countries can be overlooked. So how would you describe Luxembourg to those who always just go to the UK or France or Germany?
I think Luxembourg, they call it the lung of Europe. It's, I don't know the exact percentage, but I think it's around 80% forest and greenland. So there's not so much housing actually, but we are very, very diverse. So we have a lot of um, different cultures and passports living in Luxembourg. I always call it passports because people might have a passport, but they feel different. So yeah, it's a very diverse country, and that is also its richness. So it has really grown and developed because of the influx of different nationalities over the last centuries. And yeah, it's very small, but it has a lot to offer. It's a very safe country. We do have our problems as well in our social system, of course, like any other country, like homelessness and crime and so on. But in general, I think we're not bad off. Our schooling is great. We have an amazing health system. The food is fantastic. It's a bit expensive to live. That's true.
Hmm.
Very expensive, actually. And
More than Monaco?
well, no, I think Monaco, the housing is way more,
Ah,
but Luxembourg is very expensive. Is comparable to Switzerland
okay.
and London. Even the food is more expensive than London.
Wow.
And yeah, and when you drive a car, which I love, you need to almost drive a car because the public system is great. It's improved, but it's not yet there. Like from the south to the north, you only have certain lines and they only come like every 15 or 30 minutes. On good days and weekends, it's even less. And so you take your car for a lot of things, and you have the frontaliers who come from Germany and France and Belgium to work during the day. So during the day, it doubles its
Mm.
national, its volume of people. So you're always in a car traffic in Luxembourg. My husband is always so surprised because he's always like, "How is this possible?" On the weekend, you will be in traffic. It's very funny, but
Wow.
it's a beautiful country, and the public transport is free. So
Mm.
in the city now, the grid of public transport is very good. We have the tram, which now works as well, also from the airport down. And that has really lightened up the traffic situation. And it's just fantastic that the government has chosen to make it free, because I think it takes away a lot of the car pollution in the city, which I think is good for everyone.
Yeah, I've not been, and it's on my list to go to Luxembourg and see it.
But now comes the summer. Now it's actually a really good time to go. It's always a good time to go.
Yeah.
But this summer is a special summer because, so first and foremost, it's the last national holiday of National Day of my ex-father-in-law being the monarch, the head monarch. Then he will abdicate in October, and they have planned a 3-day national holiday, which is fantastic and very unique. So that's in June, end of June.
Wow.
I will be there as well. I think no one wants to miss that. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we also have end of August, we have the big, well, during the summer, it's amazing. There's so much to do for little to big people. And then end of the summer, end of August, 2 weeks until mid-September, there's the big fair, which is almost like an Oktoberfest, but it has more games, amazing food and everything. And we go every year. And it's amazing for people that want to come and explore Luxembourg to also see that. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind because that and Liechtenstein, I want to see the smaller European countries.
Well, Liechtenstein is beautiful as well. They have an amazing landscape there, but it's very small. So if you want to visit Liechtenstein without being patronizing or disrespectful in any way, because I had some business there, there's literally one main street.
Wow.
So Liechtenstein will be very fast. You will be
Wow.
done with it in maybe maximum an hour. Then you will
Wow.
be done. And it's so cute. But the food is very nice and the people are lovely. And you see the beautiful castle of the family. So it's nice to see, but you don't need to plan a week to be there because, So
I
you should go to Zurich and drive to Liechtenstein, because then you can also do the mountains. You can also do Milan. From Zurich, you can do a lot of things. And Liechtenstein is around an hour and a half from Zurich
Okay.
drive.
I
So
didn't
it's a very
realize
good
that.
way to combine it.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad to know this. Would you choose to live in Luxembourg again, or is it too small?
Oh, I love Luxembourg. Well, I always say I don't want to restrict myself to anything really. So maybe I'm not disinclined to it. I'm open to offers if there's an opportunity that I really like. I got asked to be in politics in Luxembourg so many times. And it's
Wow.
not something I'm saying no, but it's not the time now.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. Maybe in like 10, 20 years when I'm a bit older, could be good to go home depending on the circumstances. But for now, I'm happy to be there once a month, which I am at least, because I sit on a few boards there and my family is there, and then come back to Zurich, where my husband is from and where the kids come home.
Yeah. Gotcha. Why did you decide to go into the army at 18?
So my sister was already in the army,
Oh.
and my twin brother really wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of like a conversation at home. You must understand at the time, so that's like more than 20 years ago, the army, when you would do service, you could do the government exams like everyone else, but because you did service, you had a priority right. So, for example, if someone would have a 50 out of a 60 and you only had a 45 out of a 60 in an exam, they would take you if you were the one that did the military, because you had that priority right in terms of military versus civilians. That has changed now, but at the time that was the main kind of like goodie why a lot of people went into the Luxembourgish military, because all of my friends and most of my family worked then in public service for the government after, in all kinds of industries such as the police, government administration, the rail, and so on. So that was why people were doing it at the time. And that's why I did it also at the time. And I joined the military. I was actually not even 18. I was 17 and a bit. And which is funny because nowadays that would be counted as a child soldier. But at the time, that was quite normal. And I did my first mission abroad for a peacekeeping mission a very heated one, to Kosovo when I was 18, alone as the only woman of my draft.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I started my adult life very fast and very serious at the age of 17.
What was that peacekeeping mission like, that experience?
It was bittersweet. So I learned that, public policy and government and institutional work on paper does not reflect the reality on the ground. And I think you might relate to that, having lived in Lebanon. And so, yeah, it was eye-opening, and I really saw a calling that it's important for me. I already had that when I was young, but it was really strong when I came back from my mission, that I need to stand up more, that I need to use my platform more for women who have a voice. I don't need to give any voices. They have their voice, but they have no platform to show it or be just to kind of like help them get a louder stage. And so it was bittersweet. I was really sad and traumatized a bit, seeing the children by themselves without parents, neglected, underfed. It was really hard. And also with the military, the camaraderie was beautiful, but there was also a lot of competition, also a lot of racism in between the different country military groups on religion or whatever it was. It was just so unnecessary. I would never forget that a Belgian soldier shot himself. It was really hard for me the day we left.
Oh, wow.
He was a good friend of mine. Still, they say it was suicide, but it was really a weird situation, actually. And so all of these things, it's an environment that is very fast and very strong. And, I think there's no winners in war. And I think we see that in today's wars as well. It's just universal. And as such, that was the bitter part. And the sweet part was that I met wonderful people, other military people, other military women from other countries that I could also relate to, because I was alone with my draft. And so I didn't have really a female to talk to for 5 months at 18, right? And I had my experiences in all ways, had sexual abuse attempts and so on from other military.
By your same military?
Yeah, not by my country's military comrades, but other countries' military comrades and people I worked with. And, and it shows, and they have a problem with that. And the military recognizes that as well, sexual assault, not just on locals, but between military, with men, with women, but also man on man and so on. And it's just, I have seen that, but nothing happened to me because I had the education, meaning I broke his nose. But I had the courage to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I always like to add to this, when I talk about this, I like to add that why did I say I had the courage to do it? Because I think, there's something that happens, and that's why I studied as well trauma psychology after, to help others with this. Because when you get sexually assaulted or when you get raped, it's one thing that, yes, you feel shame or whatever it could be after, but during that moment, sometimes, as I hear when I talk to people that this happened to, they say, I'm frozen. I couldn't do anything, because people are always easy to say, well, why didn't you say anything? Because I think when this happens, some people go just numb, because your life is at risk as well. You never know what the perpetrator will do to you if you don't comply, right? And some people don't even want to try to find out. Others, like me, I had the courage to speak up, but I had training for that. And it just happened, and I'm grateful it did, because I could have also just frozen. It's something you can't really control. So it's important to say that there's more to this whole story when this happens to any human being. That needs to be acknowledged. And even the moment when you freeze, that's also courage, because, during what is happening to you, and you still will have that experience, no matter what the outcome is of it, right? My outcome or another one. And I think it's a different kind of courage as well, to just I don't know how to properly talk about it, but that happened.
Yeah.
And but for the rest, I saw the environment, and I saw a lot about the culture as well, food, and met the locals, and local customs they have. And it really stuck with me for so long, that I went back actually 3 years ago to Kosovo.
Wow.
I was called back, and I went to university. I got an award, a visiting lectureship for my work in Kosovo.
Yeah.
Because it really made me who I am today in a lot of perspectives, and I'm very grateful for the experience, good and bad. And I had the convenient of my old troops, so the 20 guys and me, and it was hilarious because, they realized how young I still am, because they didn't realize how young I was when I was with them.
Yeah.
And they were really, they were wonderful, but they were also very strong on me. And now they have kids on their own, and they are that age that I was.
Yeah.
And they're just saying, wow, I didn't realize how young you were, because you were so mature and you were with us in war.
Yeah.
My kids, and it's just, it's a crazy experience to realize that,
Yeah.
And so, that was my military experience of that in Kosovo in a nutshell. It has been 6 years, so there's many more, but that was that specific one in a few anecdotes.
Gotcha. Yeah, my aunt, who was a soldier in Afghanistan, a few years after 9/11, shared how the abuse, sexual assault of women soldiers is common from other soldiers or of your same country, and that men would, in the showers for the women soldiers, would drill holes and watch the women take showers, or other kind of horrific things that women would have to go through as soldiers in the US Army. So I believe it. And when you were talking about how women or people can become frozen by their experiences, I remember when I was living in Beirut and I took a former US politician to the explosion site after Lebanon's explosion. He invited me up to his hotel room, and I froze for a second before saying no, because I'd never had that experience before. And I think if you've never had that experience before, you can freeze. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh no, I need to stay down in the lobby. And then I called my dad while he went upstairs, because he was wanting to get his passport, and I needed to go up there and help him get his passport. But I called my safety, which is my dad, for that reassuring, yeah.
Story that happened to you.
Yeah.
It's a real big problem, isn't it? It happens all the time, and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
And, I hear that all the time. I will never forget, there was a woman in Luxembourg that wrote me over Instagram and said, Tessy, you don't know me. We became friends after, but she said, you don't know me, but I need your help. She said, I got raped by my CEO, and no one believes me. And she got even dismissed at work. She lost her work. And she said, he is a very powerful person in the country and all of that. And it was just devastating to see her on camera and tell me this story. And I said, well, we need to do that, and I said, you need to contact these people. And then, and I wrote some people as well. And she figured it out then at the end and got some justice, but not really as it should be. And I think that's why I think the system is working, but there's still some gray areas where the powerful and the strong are kind of like being pardoned. And I think until the people on the top, and you see that as well in your country, right, with people on the top, until the people on the top experience justice as everyone else, then the system will change, because then people know there's no one who can get away with it. So I rather not do it.
Yeah.
And, we always say rule by, work, rule, lead by example. And I think this is where it starts. Conduct, values, and the way you behave with everyone in private, but as well as at work.
What was your experience like as a member of the royal family?
Oh, it was a beautiful experience, I must say. Bittersweet as well.
Yeah.
I will not go too much into the bitter part.
Of course.
Because I'm not a person that likes to talk about my private life in a negative way, because my children are part of the family still today.
Of course.
But, I'm grateful because I have met wonderful people. I was married for 12 years. I married my first love. He is an amazing guy. We got obviously divorced because of reasons, but if in general, holistically looking at it, I love him very much still today. I have a good contact with him. We talk all the time. He comes for all the major family events. He comes for Christmas and, so I think for the kids, this is the perfect way of how we deal with it. And it was, being a commoner in Luxembourg. My father he is retired now, was a very well-known politician, and he had his companies and investments. And being of that girl, that they always called me the girl from the South, becoming part of the royal family as the only one in its history. There has never been a marriage in the royal family with someone that is actually from Luxembourg. Yeah. And so I'm the only one to date that historically that has married into that family. And I realized also why, because there's some things that come with it, not everything is as shiny and beautiful as it looks. But the overall value that I take from this and that I'm grateful for is that I could be there for my countrymen and women. I could represent them if they wanted to. I was speaking up for them. I had a direct line to my ex-father-in-law to tell him what people think, to tell him what people need. And, I had that all the time, that people would come to me and say, hey, this is going on here, or have you looked at this? And I would feed back to them, my ex-father-in-law. And that was very valuable for them as well, I think. I don't know, but I think he was always very grateful. Mm-hmm. And they are very connected. He's very connected to the people. So today, and as such, it was a beautiful synergy, I guess, between the girl from the South marrying into the royal family, and as such, being more of service to my countrymen and countrywomen, and having that access that other people don't have. Yeah. But also, it's a huge responsibility and honor, carrying that name and still carrying the name. Is an absolute honor, because my sons are the first grandchildren of the royal family, the firstborn grandchildren, and I raised them as such. They're wonderful, young, confident, fun, capable, engaged young men, and it makes me very proud because the people feel very connected to them because of me as their mom. Because I was always the young girl from the South, even having been married into the family. I was always available for people. Every weekend I would go to my parents, and I would go to the cafe with my father and have my coffee there with him and everyone else. So I've never changed, and I think that was very special. And my kids do that today with me and my father still. And I think people appreciate that because, to lead with the heart is, I think, an enormously underrated quality that leaders should foster more in today's society, and my sons definitely do.
Yeah, I really admire that you make yourself available to the people, and I admire that in people of influence, that they don't keep themselves far away or hard to access. And it makes, I think, people who don't have that level of influence in their lives, that there's someone that they can call or share experiences with. And it just feels good when people make the effort to be amongst the people. So,
well, I think, the thing is, and that is my opinion. Firstly, I am there for whoever wants to. I'm not forcing myself on anyone. You can also not like me. That also happens, and I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. Just to give that disclaimer, right? But I think, when you have influence, when you have a platform, in any capacity. Let that be royal, or let that be as a CEO of a big conglomerate or a big organization. Let that be whatever, a person that is in the public light. As soon as you have that, the responsibility is there, yes, but also, you have been put there for a reason. And I think that there's a divine intervention in some way. Can it be the universe? Can it be God? Can it be anywhere, or just whatever? You are there because you're being put there for some lessons, and to make yourself unavailable for other people, I think no one is too important. Of course, you need to know your boundaries, because I as well need to say no, because otherwise it would be too much, of course.
Yeah.
But so you need to also have your boundaries and your privacy and your private life, and people need to respect that. You're not a spectacle in a zoo that people can just access whenever they want. But you need to find this balance, that you are enough available that you can be there if people need it. Like for policy changes, for example, for something that really changes something, or something for that ad hoc person that writes you like I have, where you just take the time to reply or be there. That is for you to decide as a person. But I think you need all of these a bit to kind of like, bring out and grow as well the influence you have. Because I think we learn that the more you give, the more you get. And I think this is to be true when you have influence, that the more you can give. And not everyone, again, is comfortable with that. But if you can, then I think there's always an upside to that, or at least in learning.
For sure.
People take also advantage of it. And I also had my fair share of that. But it's just, try, like Pope Francis said. He said, to be kind doesn't cost anything. And I think, we need more of that in the world.
For sure. For sure. 3 last questions. You have a fashion brand. How did that start, and what inspired, or what is it about, that brand?
So the fashion brand, it started 6 years ago because my now not anymore co-founder, she left sadly because the industry was too much for her. She left last year in October, so I took it over alone. But she contacted me and she had a gift for me, and I really liked the gift. And then I said to her, why don't we create a company? So that's the short version, but this is literally what happened. Just taking that courage and speaking to that woman and being available, like you did when you approached me years ago to come and speak at Holt University, remember?
Yes, I do.
And that's how we became friends, right? Because you took the courage to just write me.
Yeah.
And she did the same. And look what happened, right? Fast forward, Human Highness, that's the brand, is doing really well. And it's a brand that is really engraved with values on sustainability as much as we can, good quality, not too much stock, uniqueness, bespokeness, but also now with the shift of me as being the sole owner, I made everything bespoke with the capes, but I also want to make things a bit more available for everyone by being more cost effective, but still have the best quality.
Yeah.
So there's some things that are changing now. But the brand is really, it's an elegant brand. The capes are worn on red carpets. It's a brand that enhances the elegance, the sexiness, whatever the character is of the woman or the man. So we have a lot of men as well wearing my capes and the linen sets and everything. And just whatever you want to feel like, you will feel it in these garments. And all of my clients come always back with the same feedback. They feel really empowered. It's almost like it lifts them up.
Yeah.
And so that's Human Highness.
Oh, that's
and I love it so much. Yeah. If you ever need anything or so on, just let me know for one of your red carpet things. You always look so elegant and beautiful.
Thanks.
But I like it a lot. It's just a brand. I created these things because I wanted them for myself.
Yeah.
Because I thought if I like it, maybe there's a market for it with other people that like it too.
Yeah.
And that is literally what I believe in, that, sharing beautiful things is always a good thing.
Indeed. I would have never thought you would have been in the fashion industry, and it's really cool that you are. There's
Oh,
nothing you
thank
won't do. Almost.
Thank you. It is fun, but it's my day to day is I sit on boards, right? I'm a board executive, or I'm a chairwoman.
Yeah.
In Hong Kong or the US or in Europe. So it's a bit more conservative, my work.
Yeah.
But the fashion industry is definitely super creative. I have my baby books as well, which I'd like to also tell you about it very briefly.
Yes.
Because I think it's also something that people did not expect. And it gives a good action point for everyone listening here that I always thought to myself, I can't write baby books, how do I do it? And, and no one will buy it. And then I did it. I just cold called publishers. And one of them picked up and she said, great, let's do it. I didn't have a deck. I didn't have anything. I just had an idea in my head and that is what I want to do. And the books are called Theodor and Grace Discover Luxembourg, Theodor and Grace and Discover Zurich, and London is coming now. I don't have any US states yet. So if you know anyone that would like to partner with me on a state, let me know. But it's really for babies from 0 to 4. And it's to playfully educate and explore with them the culture and tradition of a city through food, animals, plants, and architecture. And it has been so successful. Like in Switzerland, I sold them within a month.
Wow.
Because the main baby maternity bought all of them. And every newborn baby will get my books now as a gift from the hospital, which is so meaningful, isn't it? So it has become a very significant part of my legacy, that as well.
That's amazing. My next question was about the boards. Like, there's not enough women who sit on boards. Do you find it challenging or very rewarding to do what you do on boards?
I must say, because I was in the military, I don't find it challenging once I sit on the board.
Okay.
It's a male dominant environment, and it will be for a long time, but that is not something that I was ever afraid of. So I'm okay with that. But, and I think that once I'm on the board, I'm in. The only thing that my responsibility is to educate myself and be up to speed with what I need to know in order to perform properly and be an asset to them, right? But I think the problem there is to get into the door, to get that foot in the door for women still today. It's getting better, but and quotas are helping, but quotas are not great because it leaves that bittersweet stereotype in the back, right? So it was hard for me to get major board seats at first. I needed some people to believe in me, and I will never forget, I did my board director diploma, so that definitely helped as well, where I could have like a certified diploma in my bag where people could kind of like measure my intelligence on that paper in case they didn't know I was intelligent to do that, which is also a thing when people kind of like question your knowledge because of your age or how you look. So that was always good as well, for me at least. And then I had a friend of mine. I raised money for a foundation in Luxembourg. And a foundation I believe in because my mom worked there and I gave a lot of money there over the last decades. And I gave them a lot of assets and stuff for my kids and for me. It's an organization I call the Social Backbone of Luxembourg. And it's called Elisabeth Foundation, actually. They go from babies who have been taken away from their parents because of drug abuse. So my mom was raising these babies who are living in these homes, up to all the way elderly people and disabled people, young people who can't afford an apartment, like all kinds of things. It was really whatever happens in society, they had a solution.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved them so much. And so I was raising funds for them at an event. And they actually, I just called them and said, hey, I will raise funds for you. Where can I send the cash? Right? Literally. They were like, oh my God, we would love to come to the event. And so they came. And the CEO, Fabienne, we spoke. And then I said, I really like what you do. And I think it's amazing. I said, if you ever look for a woman on board, I would love to. Yeah. She's like, okay, but you don't live in Luxembourg. And okay. And you're still young, because, and I was like, I have the diploma and I would really like, and so for 6 months, I would just keep sending these hints, that I would be really interested in being on the board. And so she reached out to me and she said, hey, if you're really serious about this, we would consider an application and see. And fast forward, I'm on the board now for more than a year, and it has been amazing. I love my fellow board members and the chairman and everyone, and it's just an amazing foundation. It's amazing what they do. But she believed in me, and that is what the underlining story of this is.
Yeah.
I had her give me this seat at the table where my name was not in. And I think we need more of that. I try to do that as well. So I hope people who are listening to this, give someone that seat.
Yeah.
Or I hope that you will get that seat like I did. And once I had this, it's like with investments. Once you have one of these anchor investors, others come in.
Yeah.
They kind of like need to see that someone believed in you, that you're credible in order to take that risk of having you or investing in you. And this is what happened. And after they just came in, and that was beautiful. It was a beautiful start to my board directorships.
That's
and
amazing.
I thank her for that. She's amazing.
That's amazing. A concluding question. When somebody looks at your biography, I think it's really clear to see how all of your steps so far in life have been ordered. So the Army gave you a set of skills and talents to, well, do your Army job, but relate to people and be there for people, which I think prepared you as a member of the Luxembourg royal family. And then that experience also taught you a lot of things about working and relating to people that you have in your life now as being a board member. What do you have to say to trusting the steps of life and the path?
Yeah, I think it's beautiful what you're saying, actually, because you get it. Yeah. I think it takes a certain kind of thinking to see this. And I agree with you. And that was also how I've seen my path so far. I think it's just trust the process, because nowadays it's true, they like to still box you up to kind of like define who you are. And AI is not making it any easier. When you're applying for a job and these AI bots just throw out your application because there's one small word or one thing that was not perfect for the application. So it would be harder to apply for jobs now because it becomes more impersonal, which is a problem. But I would still believe that being different and having different experiences and being open to that could be very good for your CV and would make you stand out like it did for me.
Yeah.
You know, not everyone gets me, but the people that work with me love it. And so as such, I think, you know, believe in yourself and believe in the process and in the time. And that if something doesn't serve you anymore, let it go. And if something really excites you, just go for it. And yes, maybe there will be some walls like the applications. But I got an application and the link didn't work. So I was like, okay, I was looking for the link. In other perspectives, I couldn't. Then I called the company and they couldn't give me an answer. Then I went on the website and sent them, I don't know how many emails I did send them. Until they called me back, because they were just like, okay, what do you want? And I said, I want to apply for this job because it's perfect for me.
Yeah.
And I said, can I bring over my CV in person? You know, and it's really just, you know, to go that extra mile as well. I think when you apply for a job, there will be at least 10, 20, 30, 40, 100, 200 people that have done the same. How do you stand out? Because you did these extracurriculum activities and you put them on your CV. Because you're learning about other cultures, you travel, you have these other hobbies that you're doing. All of these things set you apart from other people. Do them.
Yeah.
Just do them, especially when you're young. Someone listening here, and I tell my kids all the time, when you're at university, you have nothing else to do than study. So get that job next door on the side, do these extracurricular activities, just get it there. Ask people to mentor you, go networking, create your network. It's so important to start as soon as you can really think about these things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Tessy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
As always.
Yes, my pleasure.
Can't wait to see and welcome you here in Zurich or London or Luxembourg, whatever. I would be so happy to have you. Maybe at one of the fashion weeks you're coming. That would be nice.
Yeah, I typically do Paris Fashion Week. So yeah, maybe we can meet each other there.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I would love it. Well, stay in touch.
Yeah.
Stay who you are, because you're just a delight to have around. You're always so positive and you're so diligent. You're an amazing writer.
Thank you.
I will never forget the article you wrote about me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think what you're doing is meaningful and so important. So thank you for giving me your platform to share my experience.
Of course, it's my pleasure. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode and that you have found a soulful connection to the conversation. God bless you, and until the next episode, go bless somebody else.